Good night and welcome to Mindful Live 419. I am your co-host Nathan Springer, joined today by the beautiful host Leora Lois. Springer, say hi. Tell the people hello.
Hi.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, people.
Go sleep.
Go sleep. You ready to go sleep? Alright, go sleep. Good night. Right. Welcome. Once you're on the inside, make sure you hit that like button. Double tap the screen over there on TikTok if you're wondering how to hit that like button. Hey, Ria. Tell us, Ria. She will if she is here. Getting baby leave, the system will trap them. Baby fever, good. That's what I want. I want to spread natalism through the country. I want to spread it through the country, give everyone that baby fever. Go out there and make the babies so that we could have people to pay our pensions when we reach old. Like, what do you think would happen if you don't have the babies, people? Who is going to pay our pensions? We are going to age. Right, but the issue as we were talking about here, welcome. Make sure you hit that like button. We are here speaking in the beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the place that they say is not real, but God is also a citizen here, they say. It is currently the 29th of July. We're closing in on African Emancipation Day. They renamed it from just emancipation to African Emancipation. So no, any of you other slaves throughout the world who are emancipated, get your own day. The August the 1st is African Emancipation Day, closing in on us. Once you're inside, though, hit that like button, double tap the screen. We were talking about the TINT laws that were passed recently. And someone was saying that in the chat there, the issue is why I don't go up for positions of leadership. And you see, we have to understand, when we say positions of leadership, what do we mean? Is it that when we say positions of leadership, by default, we're talking about government positions only? And is that part of the issue? That in society, we have given up positions of leadership to only state and political powers, government powers. This wasn't always the case. Leaders in the community weren't only politically elected officials. Through time, that was not always the case. There were religious leaders. Maybe I'm going that angle. There were always cultural icons outside of the polity. There were philosophers that were instrumental in shaping entire societies that weren't elected to a single position. And here's the issue with the political structure as it exists now. Here's the issue: we have given up leadership positions to non-starters. Not exactly that we have. Willie Banks says, remember, as soon as the regiment and police suit up their obedient slaves, there's an article on that to this evening too. But it's not just that we have given up those positions per se, but the positions to a large extent were created by those people, and they occupied those positions from the very beginning, and they designed the system to lock themselves in those positions. How do you propose someone with a new idea gets into a position of leadership in Trinidad? Do you want them to start a new party? That's what you want me to do? Okay, so I must either become a self-made millionaire, multi-millionaire, and devote most of my fortune into starting a new party that, because of our political landscape, the most likely outcome of that is I could hope to maybe join a coalition with one of the main parties. But the chances of starting a new party and getting the momentum to go on is a very slim thing. And in order to do that, very likely in the Trinidad and Tobago landscape, you may have to at least survive 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elections before you see yourself really making room. So, okay, where are you getting the money as a party, political party, to survive 7 elections with no victories? Where are you getting that money? Who is giving you that much money? And then what would they expect in return? You have a platform right here. And do I not use my platform, Kremat? You see, this is the statement that I spoke about last week, where there's a quote that says politics is downstream from culture. Politics is downstream from culture. I don't think I need to go get a political office. Why can't I attempt to change the culture that would have an effect on the political offices anyway? What percent of the 35 and under participate in the governance of Trinidad and Tobago? Very few, but that's not only in Trinidad and Tobago. Other than an exchange of ideas, what can this platform do? Well, here's the thing, an exchange of ideas is an extremely powerful thing. That's why most elections all around the world, they attempt to shut that down. You get someone like the last US president to fund you. You see, that's the difference again with the United States and their system. It's easier for an outsider to come in and say, I want to make change, jump up as a president for that election and be voted in. That's a much more simple thing. You are being very pessimistic. No, I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being realistic. I don't think that Trinidad and Tobago's political landscape is the kind where someone enters with a new party and makes change in the next election. It's just not realistic. I don't think Trinidad and Tobago's political landscape is as such that you can join any of those old parties and make a real big sway. I don't think it's going to work like that. Let's look at this new law though. TINT laws to save us, people. TINT laws to save us. New TINT laws take effect on July 29th. Effective July 29th, drivers will face a $2,000 fine and docked 3 demerit points if their vehicle does not meet light transmittance requirements permitted by the new TINT regulations. Failure to maintain windscreens or windows free from scratches can also land drivers a $450 fine without demerit point deductions. The unauthorized use of curtains and screens will cost $750 and 2 demerit points. Tell me, how does this make sense? These laws are so archaic and foolish. They tell us that we have dinosaurs and donkeys ruling us. That's what it tells us. There are dinosaurs and donkeys up there. People that have no idea how things change with times. How many criminals are there out there with a curtain on their window? They're rolling around with bricks of illegal contraband and they're hiding it with curtains on their window. But Kremak, I am not just talking about tint. I am not just talking about tint. Why should someone tint down their vehicle, a law-abiding citizen? Kremak, ask all your batch. Kremak, ask all your batch. Why all their vehicles need to be tinted down? Why all you need to tint down all your vehicle and the whole batch rolling in pitch black? They can't even watch through the rearview mirror to see. They had to wind down the window to reverse. But why all you, give me one good reason all you need to tint down all your vehicle. Ask your batch. Yeah. It's easy. You could pick out a policeman's vehicle in a lineup. You can pick it out in a lineup. Once you see black tint, you know it's a uniform hanging in that vehicle. You know that. The reason people tint down their vehicle is by and large sun. That's the reason people put curtains on their vehicles. Like, why would you charge someone for a curtain? Like, here's the thing. If a curtain is obstructing you, and you ask someone to wind down the window and they tell you no, well, okay, fine, that's a charge. But if there's a curtain, and someone has a baby in a car seat in the back seat, you're going to run up on them and give them a ticket for that? And that makes sense? Tell me, Crimac, how is this supposed to ease our crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago? Do you believe criminals in Trinidad are running around in curtained vehicles? Or you think that the bad boys are using the curtains in vehicles to hide their ARs in the back seat? You think when the bad boys going on a drilling, they pull the curtains and three of them sit down in the back seat hiding behind the curtains? Crimac, do not be a fool. You see, this is the rationalization of foolishness and stupidity that allows our leaders to continue what they're doing. You're just here telling me, why don't I go into positions of leadership and make change? I am here trying to change the foolish culture, and you're digging yourself, burying yourself, and situating yourself permanently and solidly on the stupidity. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Let's move the culture, Crimac. Let's look at stupidity and say that stupidity, that is not going to reduce crime. Not a murder is going to stop because you charge someone $750 for stopping baby girl face from getting burned up with a curtain. Not one crime. If these fellas end up with a curtain in their cars because they thief the car with a curtain, it's not like these guys rolling around in their personal vehicles that tint down. It's a bag of stolen vehicles they're rolling around with. They're stealing the vehicles. All of them. Crimac, I don't know why you are continuing like this, while Crimac is one of those walking contradictions. He wants to see better in a community, but he will lobby for things that worsen the community. He wants to see leadership make changes and do things right, but you all need to follow the laws of the foolish leaders currently. Crimac, come on. Yeah. He's definitely an officer that gets a little something extra for the tickets. That's the only people that justify this foolishness. So what if you're driving around in a hoodie and a Deadpool mask while you're going through there? None of these laws are going to stop criminals. Bubbles in your tint. Bubbles in your tint, and you have to pay $450. What? You think that the criminals heat up their tint to put bubbles in the tint to really obscure the police, you know? Yeah. That's the colonist mentality, Nisi. Those who, yes, massa. And Massa could say black is white today, and yes, Massa. Massa could say white is white tomorrow. Yes, Massa. And if Massa says so, they will beat up every other one. They will beat up every other one in their community to make sure you obey Massa. I look at these comments when these posts come out, and people like, if you obey the law, you wouldn't have nothing to worry about. Like, who are these people? Like, what kind of upbringing you had that trained your mentality in such that you enjoy being a stooge and a subservient footstool for people who dislike you? What about your upbringing created that in you? When you work in the public service, you'll understand why TT is the way it is. Yeah, they are overseers. I've said this many times, Militant Rockstar. Our police are a remnant of the colonial powers. They behave like that. Their modus operandi is that of a colonial police force. That's good for you, Krimak. If you are okay being a stooge slave for whoever the authorities might be, that's grand for you. But us free people, we prefer freedom, right? So you stay in slavery and lobby for slavery, while us free people will talk sensibly separately. And all you have to do to look and see that this isn't about helping Trinidad is see the bubble tint part. Of course you do, Krimak, because you show them your ID. You show them your police ID and you drive through comfortably. That's what all police do. They go through with their black tint and say, oh, batch, and drive through. You aren't worried about that. Ronnie asked what tint is allowed on ministers' vehicles. Well, any tint they want. It's like a police vehicle. You look at the police vehicles, they could do what they want with it. They could do what they want with it. Krimak, I'm not stopping it because that's the only thing that makes sense. If it is that you are indeed a regular citizen lobbying for the persecution of other regular citizens, then they should put you in the category of the overseers. They should put you in that category. Yeah, all you have to do is look at the bubbles. How do bubbles come and tint? Are bubbles a purposeful thing? Anyone with tint with bubbles in it, what does that tell you about someone? They have some tint. The tint color isn't illegal, but there are bubbles in it. What does that tell you? Yes, Duncan, exactly that character. Yes, massa. Yes, massa. Oh no. And if you hurt massa, they hug up massa and cry. How dare you hurt massa? It's heat or a cheap job and the person doesn't have the money to fix their tint. No one with bubbles in their tint is because they are badgeons and want to disobey the law of the land. Why are you punishing them? What is the lesson you hope to impart on the nation by punishing someone with bubbles in their tint? Why? Like, what's the purpose of that? That's like going around inspecting people's homes and punishing people who have faded paint on their homes. You're just punishing poverty. Bubbles can hinder sight, it's unsafe. Bubbles in your side window? Sight of what? Kyron James? Sight of what?
Mommy?
What sight are bubbles going to inhibit, Officer James? What's it going to inhibit?
No.
What's it going to inhibit? Which sight? And you know, the obey the law people, the just obey the law people seem to not be of the understanding that laws can be unconstitutional. And you know what's marvelous about the Uncle Ruckus levels? No Crimac. Once you agree with the officers on foolishness, you have to be an officer. Yes, I am Kyron James. So the side windows obstruct. Alright, okay. So all of those police vehicles with scratched up side windows, they aren't obstructed in their viewing. But a bubble on my side window is going to inhibit me from seeing my mirror. Of course not, Torres. That's not even a conspiracy. Amalgamated is basically a part of our national security infrastructure. But yeah, the idea of the bootlickers and the Uncle Ruckuses, they seem not to even understand that laws could be unconstitutional. Oh gosh, Shrinimav, oh gosh. Laws could be unconstitutional. And it's funny, when the elites are punished by unconstitutional laws, you know what they do? They sue. But when the regulars are punished by unconstitutional laws, the Uncle Ruckuses and officers and batches run out to say, just obey the law. Listen. Let's jump into this one. This one is a little jump ahead. Judge to FIU, leave gun dealers' bank details alone. Let's read this. Firearms dealers Brent Thomas and Hugh Leong Poi have been successful in their lawsuits against the Financial Intelligence Unit over information it received from several financial institutions in 2022 on them and their dealerships. The FIU's director cannot use any of the financial information received on the two and their companies by court order. The FIU has regulatory responsibility for anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism and falls under the Ministry of Finance. The two question the constitutionality of the FIU's move around October 2022 to ask various institutions for financial information on some 35 individuals and 17 businesses associated with the legal firearms business. They filed separate constitutional claims seeking several declarations and orders. Among these orders is the destruction of the information obtained by the FIU on them and their businesses. They argued that the request by the director of the FIU was ultra-virus. And you know what? They won. They won. But you know what Crimac's advice to them would have been? Abu, let's finish the story before you say you're not supporting it. Let's finish the story. You know what Crimac's advice to them would have been? Just obey the law. If only just obey the law, you won't have this to worry about. And you know what they tell you? Shove that law. We're not going to obey that law because we disagree. And while Crimac would have his suspenders pulled over his head and be dragged about through the system, these men are going to be paid handsomely. And then Crimac is going to look at his children and wonder, why is it that my people always stay at the bottom of society? And then he'd look at the children of those who tell the lawmakers shove it when they make foolish laws and say, how them reach up there? It must be bias and racism. Weren't you the one wondering why your community stays at the bottom? That's why. That's why. You are just follow the law. We are going to change it. No. The system has failed us. No, you have upheld the failing system. Crimac, you are marvelous. You are a fountain. You are a fountain of contradiction here. The system has failed us, but let's uphold that failing system. Which one is it, Crimac? Which one is it? Is it that the system has failed us, or we must uphold this system by obeying the law? You know what you need? You know who you need to go and read about, Kremak? Read about Boxer the horse from Animal Farm. Go back to secondary school literature. Grab up Animal Farm and read about Boxer the horse. I'm glad if you're saying Torres, because I'd love to tell the government all these things. I'd love to tell the government these things. So read about Boxer the horse. He followed the rules that the pigs gave him in Animal Farm. And you know what was his reward? Turn him to glue. You need to read some Animal Farm, Mr. Kremak. You need to read some Animal Farm. And Abu, you were saying that you don't like what they did here. But here's the reason they did this. The FIU requested information on businesses and individuals without receiving a warning. So they had no legal right to request that information. You can't just come and mind my business. You see, that's how colonial-minded people think. They think that the colonial government could walk in their house, read their diary, open their bank account, look under the wife clothes too, and that's cool because that's massa. Yes, massa. The law is the law, massa. Massa, we understand. But that's not actually how the Constitution is supposed to operate. The government, the state, the authorities don't have carte blanche right over your life, regardless of what guys like Kremak and the other officers might say. That's not, under God is not the police. That's not true. They would like you to believe that. And you believing that is one of the best ways to get you to actually live like it. Abu says that's troublesome because no bank is going to report any of these people for suspicious transactions. Well, here's the thing, Abu. The way how they do it now is it's not that you have to report people for suspicious transactions per se, but any transaction over a certain amount without a receipt has a report being made to it. That's it. If you don't have that, you don't have just reason. Go to a court, get a warrant, and then come back and search my financial business. Yes, that's can report, but I'm talking about where they have to report. What is unnecessary report? Suspicious transaction report or suspicious activity reports. There were none. If are there any unconstitutional laws you want to pass that would help with crime? I don't know if those would be laws. Like, I don't know if laws, I don't think laws are the solution in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't think there's any combination of words that we could read out in Parliament and get the president to sign that is going to change the nature of Trinidad. It's all culture. It's not the laws, really and truly. So, I guess there may be unconstitutional laws I could have in my mind that I think may help, but in terms of how it would help, you'd have to change other things about the culture first. Yes. Hey! I know that name, Ramishan. I know that name. And that is how they got out of it. The request for information must be triggered by an STR or SAR. And if there is no request, then your request is unconstitutional. Good night. And this is a guy that would know. Your request is unconstitutional. And the Kremaks and the other Uncle Ruckuses would have us believe the best thing to do when confronted with such things is obey the law. if the FIU tells you we deem it, you should be investigated. Your result, your options are yes, massa, and okay, sir. Because the law is the law. And while we pay through our teeth for bubbles in our tint, they're stabbing ladies in their homes, murdering mothers as they lie on top of their babies. But don't worry, all those bubble tint people, we will make sure that you could see your side mirrors real good. Hey, UNC gives Scotland pointers on crime. Former United National Congress Senator Sean Sobers has offered a playbook to Keith Scotland, newly appointed minister in the Ministry of National Security, to fight crime in Trinidad and Tobago. Sobers gave the advice during a presentation. He also rendered advice on what the new minister's focus should be as he seeks to reduce crime. Discussions should be held with the TTPS as it pertains to the situation with respect to their resources, which would lead to an audit for both basic and high-tech needs, said Sobers. There should be discussions with respect to curbing the influx of guns and drugs coming into this country. What are the positions with respect to ensuring that the apparatus that the TTPS officers are using on the street is capable and efficient to protect themselves and fight criminals within this country? You know, I'm sorry, Mr. Sobers, but I don't find any of that advice to be particularly poignant. Joe says penalties for serious crimes need to be increased to uninviting time behind bars and hefty fines. My thing with almost all of the punishments, increasing the punishments, making this more harsh, that's going beyond the point of where we are in Trinidad and Tobago. Like, we need to hang people in the middle of the square. Well, you need to find them guilty first. How many of the murderers have we found guilty? What's our detection rate? Before we could talk about punishing the people, we need to get them in the prison and guilty. And we need the case to finish within under 20 years, like before the criminal retires. Exactly, we do not have a legislation problem, we have a detection and conviction problem. Like, there are many criminals out here who were caught the first time at 16. But they got bail and the case still going on and da-da-da and da-da-da. By the time the case actually called when they're 30, they finish their crime career. Most crime careers are between the ages of 16 to 25 in young men. So you arrest them at 16, but nothing in our legislative system, nothing in our justice system could get them behind bars and staying behind bars in under 10 years. So by the time you actually get them to stay behind bars, they already finished their criminal career. They are in retirement on consultancy. So, okay, you finally hold on to them at 30. By that time, they're already a criminal consultant. They don't actually beat the road doing physical crime anymore. They're just consulting on the criminal activity. So they could consult real good in prison because they have a phone. So when they retire from active criminal duty, you send them into retirement in the prison. Finally, you get a case to call, and then they could stay on their phone and run the criminal activity and render assistance from the inside. Hey, Nicholas Jaikaran. And I mean, it aggravates me to see how the lawyers benefit off of this. But in a sense, can you even blame the lawyers? That's the system. Why, Nathan? Why? To be very honest with you, I am not 100% certain. I am not 100% certain. I have wondered that, Mr. Ramishan, I have wondered if the case, why so many of the cases fall apart, why bail is granted so often, if it's just that the TTPS bills horrible cases. I have wondered if that's the reason. I don't know. I really don't, because it befuddles me. So I was in support against the bail bill, where the Privy Council tossed out the bail bill. Because the idea of the bail bill was, if you are charged with a crime, murder, a certain serious crime, you cannot get access to bail by law. But charge isn't proven guilty. So that really doesn't make sense. So I was okay with that. It makes sense. You don't punish people until you find them guilty. And the thing with bail, as the Privy Council said, bail isn't supposed to be an automatic thing. A judge is supposed to look at the case, see, all right, this guy looks like it's an iffy case, the evidence is bail. All right, this guy has been before me every year for the past 10 years. He seems like someone we shouldn't allow back out for whatever reason. And I would have thought so. But it seems now that for whatever reason, lots of judges seem to be willing to give bail to murder accused who seem very likely guilty. Wasn't someone held with a gun in Tobago sometime last week who was out on bail for murder? Like, what are we doing? Anonymous says because it have a racket with clean deeds and they benefit. Money. I've heard on the magistrate level there may be some bail rackets involving magistrates. I cannot verify that. And like that, that's why I talk about politics being downstream from culture. And if I'm trying to affect something, I'm trying to affect the culture. Because something like that, how do you unravel something like that? How do you motivate police to build better cases and be more serious in their detection rates, when if they do that, the people will be released? That's very demotivating to the police. But then a demotivated police service is going to very likely put forward half-done cases, which would make it easier for the judiciary to throw it out. And then those in the judiciary who might be interested in actually doing things right, now the whole system is leaning towards incompetence and ineptitude. What are you going to do? How do you solve that? Have better educated detectives. Riyadh, now you're speaking my language. How about an IQ test for police? The DPP office is severely understaffed. That's another one that's a mystery to me. That's another one that's a mystery to me. The DPP says his office is understaffed by something like 100, and he has been requesting staff for a decade. I am confused because every year in Trinidad, hundreds of lawyers graduate. Where all these people going? You're telling me we have no people able to staff the DPP's office? How? That befuddles me. I am confused. I have been seeing this in the news repeatedly for years. They are starved for money to pay. I am confused. Again, I am confused. Trinidad spends, like Dr. Rowley was just lamenting the other day how much money we spend on crime fighting in Trinidad. Oh no, and the crime situation. Well, if we spend so much, what is some more? So how much it would be to pay 100 more lawyers for the DPP's office? How much is that going to be? How much? How much? And these lawyers, it's not like they're going to be senior counsels like the president's husband. It's not like they're going to be at that kind of level where you have to pay that much. It's not like you have to pay them 20 million like Nelson. It's not like those kind of numbers. So, I'm confused. Why can't we pay and get staff for the DPP? Why? Who knows? But to go back to the IQ test for police, I believe that wholeheartedly we need to change the culture of the police service. It's kind of interesting to me that our police service changed its promotional style from experience grit to more academic based. But yet still we don't have lots of people in the police service that seem very competent. I think we could increase the pay for police and expect more from them. Like the currently what we offer police, the kind of people that it selects for, and no offense meant to officers directly necessarily here, but I think the kind of people that currently our TTPS selects for isn't the best for being the police service in our country. Police is good for job security, and that's the problem. Most of the people who go into the police service seem like someone reached their early 20s, they had nothing else going for them, they had just about the right amount of passes, and what else you go do? I need some job security. That's not who we want for police. No, I'm not bashing all. I didn't say all, by no means all. By no means all. It cannot be all. But it does have a culture of who you attract. It does have a culture of who you attract. And maybe in the 90s, you attracted civic-minded, burly men who wanted to feel like they're making change in the society. But in the 2020s, it seems like that's not the group you're attracting. That's not the group you're attracting. I think we need to attract a different group of police officers. Hi 868-2010. That's what I think we need to do. Attract a different group of police officers. If you need to raise the pay for them, fine. I've stated this argument numerous times. The reason that they say judges should be paid a lot is the same reason I think police should be paid a lot too. Why? Like, really and truly. All you want to do is buy a big van and have two outside women. Yeah, really and truly, I think the police should be a highly competitive job. And the nature of what a police officer is supposed to be able to do, they're supposed to have kind of paralegal training. A police is supposed to be at minimum a paralegal. I don't think 6 months in a barracks is enough. Like, give them more. And pay them more by all means. Let it be that people who think they can get better out of life would be willing to do that too. Like, and I am just attempting to show how reality works and how incentives work and how incentives select for a certain group. If you tell people that police is a safe job, but the upward ceiling, the upper limit of police, you're going to get at maximum $10,000 or something like that. Forget about reaching too senior. It's too much bacchanal and politics. You're going to get people who believe that the best I can do in life might be a $10,000 salary. That may limit who would apply. Patriotism don't pay bills. Fact. Fact. We need to change, I think, the recruitment of our police service. If we want different police, put different bait, as it were, in the water. You want to catch something different, put a different bait. I have no doubt that they are patriotic officers, and they are good officers. I've met good officers. No one needs to think that I think all police are evil. That's not true. I've met good officers. They are good officers, and officers are extremely important. I am not of the view that police are unnecessary and we need to get rid of police or anything like that. I am of the view that they are so necessary we need to do better by the police. Probably the Minister of Police Affairs could change that. Well, he promises that he is going to hit the ground running and get things changed. Where do you get the money to pay them more? Here's the thing for me. For me, I think the job of the government is so much primarily national security that, for me, they could close the entire Ministry of Education if it means working out the police service. And I think people don't seem to understand these things. Like when I say about the TINT laws in the wrong time when there are murders going on. Government, the state, has primary objectives. It doesn't make sense. We have a state attempting to get tertiary education in on everyone's child. Like they're everyone's fairy godmother. Pay for everyone's tertiary education, while they can't assure people's security. That does not make sense. Security for your citizens is much more a primary goal than education even. Because here's the thing. You don't need the state for education, actually. But the state has a monopoly on violence. And especially in Trinidad and Tobago, they don't allow us to protect ourselves. So this is your super necessary job. So where do you get money to pay them? From literally anywhere else. Anywhere else. Take any of the money. Emancipation Support Committee probably got a couple million to do what they do. Take that. Carnival gets some. Take that. Nobody gets any money if it means that we get to pay the police better and get a safe country. And here's what. When the murderers stop killing people every Monday morning, well, not even Monday, every day morning, kill a tree. When that stops happening, then we could work from there and try to get back the free education and all that nice, lovely stuff. Well, Abu Friday, I guess that's why nobody does it. Let's take a turn. This will be an interesting conversation. Pride organizers call for laws to protect LGBTQIA. Organizers of Sunday's Pride TT Parade emphasized the need for legislation to protect members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual community from discrimination. Who discriminates against asexual people? Like, why is the A there? Doesn't asexual mean you have no care for sex with anyone? So why are you even on a sexual identity list? It's like, all right, let's list vehicles. You have a bus, you have a motorbike, you have a car, and you walk in. I mean, one of these things really isn't. What you talking about, bro? I don't understand the A. I just lane. Well, to be honest, a lot of them don't make perfect sense to me, but the A really doesn't quite add up. Almost 200 people gathered at one cafe Alcazar on Marval Road to celebrate the LGBTQIA community. Pride TT co-founder Kennedy Everett Mirage said this year's theme, The Right To, was intentionally left open-ended to place a spotlight on all the various issues affecting the community. Given that we are such a diverse community and we are not a monolith, not every single issue is going to impact each and every one of us the exact same way. Different issues impact all of us differently. You know, it's if the community is so diverse that the issues are individual, why are they in the same community? Interesting stuff. Something I noted with this Pride Parade though. They asked about laws and they were requesting laws to stop discrimination and all of that. But then when they started interviewing people who were attendees, let's see if we can go down to that. for one, with the laws to stop discrimination, which laws allow discrimination in Trinidad and Tobago? We live in a country, this is the founder of the Pride Parade speaking, we live in a country where we are all supposed to be equal and free, enjoying the same rights and privileges just by the mere fact that we are human beings. And here it is, you know, we have an entire community which has contributed so much to our culture and our society, and yet still we have employers who can openly discriminate against us simply based on the fact that we are LGBTQIA. Can employers in Trinidad and Tobago discriminate against an LGBTQIA person? Like, how does that look? How does that look? Ronnie says not directly. Well, if not directly, that means they can't do it. If they have to find a way around it to do it, that means they can't really do it. And then, like, this is my issue. This is my issue with hate crimes. In the first place, why do we have special crimes? Like, if I kill you, it shouldn't matter. Behave yourself. If I kill you, it shouldn't matter if I kill you because you're black, or because your skin white, or because your skin yellow. The murder is the wrong thing. That's already a crime. We need to get a special qualifier for the murder. If I dismiss you wrongfully without cause, should it matter what my bad cause was? Like, if it was that you just rubbed me the wrong way, I just don't like your head, okay. Or if it is because I don't like that you like men, should it really matter what is the reason for the wrongful dismissal? Should it really matter? Wrongful dismissal is already illegal. And here's the thing for me, especially as a melanated individual of African origin, where you know there's already some controversy in all sorts of matters of such. I don't actually want to force people who don't like me to have to be around me. I don't want to force that. So is my establishment not entitled to a moral position? Yeah, it should be. And here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with someone thinking a lifestyle is wrong. That's their prerogative. I have a right to find I think that lifestyle is wrong. That's my right. As long as I don't commit a crime against you, I could find the lifestyle wrong. So I don't know the employer side discrimination. He said gay couples also stand to lose everything they built together if one of them dies, as their marriage is not recognized in TT law. Even if you get married abroad, there are no laws to protect you. So your marriage might not be legally binding here. So you can't be afforded any of the rights and protections and privileges that a heterosexual married couple will enjoy. And the country and culture doesn't believe in gay marriage. That's all. It's that simple. And is that a problem? Is it that all countries are supposed to accede to the sexual views of the United States and the United Kingdom? Wow. Abu Friday says on a job interview, the woman tell me Trinidad is a Christian country and she don't hire Muslims. No, Trinidad is not a Christian country. And I'm pretty sure that one, with her saying it explicitly like that, may in fact have a cause for some trouble in her book. Why they don't try that in Islamic Republic? So yeah, they do to a very limited extent. He called on people who are critical of members of the LGBTQIA community to look within and examine the reason for their bias and disdain. You have to educate yourself, he says. You have to ask yourself, why am I acting a certain way when I see somebody who doesn't really look like what I consider to be traditionally male or traditionally female? Ask yourself, why does that bother me so much? And how does the way someone else chooses to live their life really impact my life? That person is not hurting you in any way, shape, or form. So why are you acting in a way that causes harm, that threatens, that makes that person feel threatened or make them feel like they are not safe in their own country or less than? Let's go through some of these questions though. For people who are critical of members of the LGBTQIA community. I am one of those people who are critical of members of the LGBTQIA community. I'll let you all know. I am not hiding that fact. All of you all in the live, I am one of those. Even if you are in the community, I don't hate you. I don't think any harm should befall you, but I am critical. Let's go through the questions. Ask yourself, why am I acting a certain way when I see somebody who doesn't really look like what I consider to be traditionally male or traditionally female? Why am I acting a certain way when people aren't like that? Well, the reason why is because I believe the family to be the basic building block of society. And I believe the nuclear family to be the healthy version of how that is done. And I believe when you stray away from that nuclear family, you get all sorts of negative consequences that may not all be obvious at the beginning. That's why. Glad to answer that. Ask yourself, why does that bother me so much? And how does the way someone else chooses to live their life really impact my life? Well, here's the thing. We don't live, the statement, no man is an island. We don't live separate, atomized lives. All of what we do affect each other. All of what we do affect each other because we live in the same land together. It affects everyone. So, if you lobby for equal visibility, what that means is that soon in schools, in sex education, you would want them to teach about your sexual proclivities. That affects me. Like, let's not pretend that lobbying to change the culture of a country is not going to affect other people. What are we doing here? Like, really, what are we doing here? What foolish games are we playing? I am lobbying to change the culture of your country. And at the same time telling you, this is not going to have an effect on you, you know. Well, if it won't have an effect, why change it? The reason you are changing it is to have an effect. So let's not gaslight each other. You want an effect on the country. He said stigmas against and perceptions of the LGBTQIA society are reinforced by religious doctrine, politicians who play into homophobia, and a general cultural belief and insensitivity. To all people who think like that, what exactly are you afraid of? I am not afraid. Because at the end of the day, we are no different than you are. But it seems like an entire month is spent trying to show people how different you are than them. I am not one to wear leather and walk the road. Leather spandex, bikini while I walk the road is not my thing. So you are different from me. You attempt to display your That's what gay parades do. That's what pride parades do. Pride parades attempt to show how different they are, how flamboyant and colorful. So what you mean you are no different? You are showing the difference. We want to love freely. We want the same sort of human rights and protections that are afforded to every citizen of this country. And I agree with that point. I think all citizens of the country should be afforded the same human rights because they are humans. I agree wholeheartedly with that. All citizens get the same rights. No special rights. No special rights for anyone. You get the same rights. No one should hurt you, no one should harm you, and you should be protected from such. Grand. Now, listen to the audience of the people who went to this parade. British High Commissioner Harriet Cross said she was there to celebrate the contribution LGBTQIA people make to the economy, the culture, and other aspects of life. She added it's also important to highlight the other issues facing the community. European Union Ambassador to TT, Peter Cavendish, said he was pleased to be a part of the celebrations. Asked about his thoughts on the community, Cavendish said there's a vast legal challenge, but added he believes in the ability of the people of Titi to make their own decisions. Host, what's up? Ready to sleep? Good night. So, we have UK ambassador, European Union ambassador, ambassador of the Kingdom of Netherlands, Cor Hirschbach, said the parade mirrored his personal beliefs and those of his country. Argentine ambassador Gustavo Pandiani said he was there in his personal capacity and not a representative of his government, adding the LGBTQIA community could count on his support. Good night, Sid. It's interesting, the crowd. Good night, Joy. It's interesting, the crowd. And why is it you need outsiders to come to push this? If it's something that is here and is within our culture and part of us, why can't local people be the driving force? It's interesting in a 200-person parade, and really and truly 200 isn't that huge. And 200, you wonder how many of that 200 were even local people. and understand what the LGBTQIA community is. You could believe that's okay and that's your belief, but understand what it is you want the okay to have sexual interactions in the way you want it. That's all really and truly it is. This people speak about love is love and all of that, but people could love each other. I love my father, I love my brothers. They are all men. It's not illegal for men to love each other. They could love. Love isn't the issue. When you're looking to change Trinidad's buggery law, buggery isn't about love. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Like, let's be real and honest about what we're talking about. It could be of you and that's fine. But let's be real and honest. Love is a euphemism here. The love isn't the issue. And why should a nation or a culture be required to accept anyone's sexual proclivities? Why? I uncancelable, so these things don't bother me at all. None of these people employ me. Why? Why is a nation required to accept all of your proclivities? If I go to a country and I like feet, I have a foot fetish, and in that country they say, again, we find people who like foot nasty, and if we see a sniffing a foot in this country, we kicking you out. Like, okay, bro, that's your prerogative. What right would I have to organize a foot rally? What right would I have? But the acting AG, the acting AG had a balanced answer, it seems. Acting AG Gonzalez, no opinion and pride call for legal protection. Acting Attorney General Marvin Gonzalez says he does not have an opinion on a call by Pride TT for legislation to protect members. In a response via WhatsApp, Gonzalez said, "I have not studied the matter sufficiently in order to proffer an opinion. Suffice to say that the laws of Trinidad and Tobago and the Constitution provide protection for all citizens, regardless of race, color, gender, status, or geographical location. That is the beauty of living in a constitutional democracy. As citizens, we are afforded adequate protection by the law and by an independent judiciary that is charged with applying and interpreting the law." Gonzalez is acting for Attorney General Reginald Armour, who is in Grenada with the Prime Minister at a CARICOM Heads of Government meeting. Most of them are white leather, most of them are. And, you know, Mr. Marvin, I think that was a good answer. You know, like in Family Feud, when the whole good answer. That's a good answer. The Constitution already protects people. Okay. Like, you were able to have the parade. No police arrested you. In fact, police protected you while you had this parade. And, like, bear in mind, this parade is an outside culture trying to get a foothold in Trinidad and Tobago using outsiders. Put it plainly. That's what the parade was, by evidenced by the presence of all form of foreign dignitaries to build the numbers. That's what the parade did. But nonetheless, even with that being as it might be, the parade was still allowed. No one stoned down the parade. No one scratch a match by the parade or pelt a flambeau or anything as such. So, I disagree. I don't know. What more would you want? What more is there? What more is there? Let's see who's on YouTube before we dive out. Let's see who's on YouTube. If there are any commenters out there dropping something on YouTube. Kareem, good night Kareem. Tint laws that are only going to be applied to some and not all. Oh lamb, night. The question is, would it be a good effect or not? Would what? I don't even know where that was at. Abu, in Toronto, you see, sir, Canada is not the place to play those games. Canada is not the place to play those games, Mr. Abu. And Abu is Abu on your passport, brother? You sure you want to be playing those games out there with Abu on your passport? Nathan, you saw the Olympics opening? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Horrendous stuff. Horrible, mocking, but it is what it is. Many people do it. Pretty normal by now. And it's so normal that it isn't even really edgy and provocative anymore. Like oh my goodness, oh you mocked a Christian visual representation. Oh, you're so edgy. Like no one has done that before. Wow, you put something LGBTQIA and crossed it over into something Christian. Ooh, that's so edgy. It's not like that's done every single Pride Month. I mean, if there were the same amount of Christian extremists who took the kind of Charlie Hebdo actions, if you all remember what happened at Charlie Hebdo in France, if there were that amount of Christian extremists, I bet they wouldn't have done it. I bet you're not going to see an Olympic opening ceremony mocking Islam, because there are Islamic extremists who take such things very seriously. And you know what I find insulting on it? The group of well-educated and knowledgeable, worldly-minded people out there who are right there to let us know this had nothing to do with the Last Supper. This was about Dionysus, the ancient Greek god, and they were literally right there in a bacchanalia. You know, it's y'all are just looking to be victims. And at the same time, the same people who would say that would say, and Christians deserve to be mocked. So, like, which position is it? Which position is it? Is it that it didn't happen, or is it that it's a good thing that it happened? Because those people have both those positions. Anyone who you see saying that it was not a mockery, ask them if it was a mockery, if they would have been offended by it. And you recognize that they don't actually care if it was or wasn't a mockery. They're just trying to find a way to defend it. But yeah, it's a mockery. It was a mockery. And those societies are getting their resultant comeuppance from mocking the cultures and building blocks of their own societies. Bear in mind, much of Europe was built on Christian ideology and Christian belief systems. To openly mock it and deride it is a foolish thing in my view. To openly mock and deride what your culture is built on sounds like a culturally suicidal thing to do. Anyway, people, that's all I have for now. Any further questions before we dive out? I just don't get it. Is it that they had no historical thing to display? Yes, they did. But you see, you have to understand what postmodernism is. Postmodernism, that many of what you hear when you hear people talk about woke, it's basically a postmodernist view of the world. And postmodernism is basically what all universities teach. So nearly everyone in the Western world who was educated to the point of tertiary education and believed their professors have a kind of slightly postmodernist view of the world. And that view has a supremely critical view of everything. They're always trying to deconstruct something. Always. Everything is about deconstruction. So we're deconstructing masculinity, and we're deconstructing white supremacy and whiteness, and we're deconstructing Christianity, and we're deconstructing and deconstructing and deconstructing. It's a way to critique things, but all it does is eternally critique. So that's why nearly all of the modern art is a critique of something. It's a critique of something, a deconstruction of something, instead of just making something beautiful that appeals to the human spirit. No, I said there aren't Christian extremists who would do that. There are not. If there were, that might not have happened. And it's not like those countries don't have beautiful things. But you look at the opening, and you see they obviously moved away from beauty. There was no aesthetically beautiful performer there. Everyone was fat, out of shape, disrupting expectations. Oh, you thought this was going to be a woman? No, there's a bed. Like, everything is disruption of the norm and a deconstruction, and it's tedious, really and truly. Like, people like beauty. People like beauty. People like pretty people. Reality. Yes, the pale horse and the queen, Marie Antoinette, beheaded, singing a death metal song. Ain't that something? Whatever that was supposed to be. Nathan, you will need a PR agency after this live. Never. I am my own PR agency. I am business. Alright, people, that's all I have for now. I'm heading out to Ronnie. Enjoy the night. Hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. This has been the Mindful Live Show, and I'll see you again tomorrow for the next one. Until then, people, peace out. Hold it down. Stay good, stay well, stay inside, outside sketchy.